Welcome to Pod Appétit Gourmet Takes, the podcast with hot takes on food media.
We interview popular chefs and food personalities, sample all kinds of food media, and try cooking challenges in our own kitchens.
Let's dig in. Hey, it's Justine.
And it's me, Meg.
Welcome back to another episode of Pod Appétit, where we cook themed recipes every month and chat about the latest food media we've been consuming. And this is now our July kickoff.
It's officially summer.
Yeah, we're at the beach recording. That's what the sound is.
Exactly. Under our umbrellas.
Yeah, can you hear the ocean?
I can hear the ocean waves.
So we let everybody know what our July themes were last time we had our June episode, but as a reminder, here they are again. July 4th is Independence Day in the US, which means red, white, and blue foods. July 7th is Chocolate Day. July 14th is National Macaroni and Cheese Day. July 15th is our podcast birthday, so celebrating all things birthday. And July 28th is National Hamburger Day. Ooh, summer foods.
Summer all the way down.
But actually, Meg, you're gonna kick us off a little leftover.
Yes, I'm kicking us back to June. I have a quick June leftover I wanted to talk about. Back in June, on the 19th, that was National Martini Day. I couldn't let that go by uncelebrated. I decided to try to recreate a martini I'd had in a restaurant once before. It was a dirty smoked olive martini. Very tasty. So your basic gin martini, but with smoked olives and smoked olive brine. I really would have liked to have found pre-smoked olives, something that was smoked by someone other than me. I'm sure that exists somewhere, but I wasn't able to find them. And I don't have a smoker. I haven't filled up the gas in our grill yet. I'm sure I will soon. But in the meantime, the best I could come up with was soaking some pimento martini olives in a little bit of liquid smoke and also their olive brine. So that's what I did.
Liquid smoke makes its return again.
It does. I bought that whole bottle. I have to use it.
Everything be smoky.
Exactly. So it wasn't quite as good as what I had in the restaurant. The restaurant was definitely, they'd all made it themselves. I think that maybe they added a little bit of citrus, maybe a little bit of orange to the brine. Ooh. There was definitely some complex flavors in there, but I still made a pretty good martini. My ultimate dirty martini recipe is 2.5 ounces of gin, 1 ounce vermouth, and 1/2 ounce olive brine because I like it really dirty. Very dirty martini. 3 olives, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's my perfect martini. And it has to be stirred, of course, and poured into a chilled glass that's just been taken straight out of the freezer. That's my ultimate martini.
Wow, I've never had a martini in my life.
Justine, how healthy of you.
I'm always say when people are surprised like how many like alcoholic beverages I haven't tried, I'm like, I'm just like too much of a sweet tooth, you know? Like,
sure. And there's plenty of sweet cocktails for you out there.
Which, yes, those I've had. But not the grown-up one. Even soda is a treat for me, though.
Okay, you want to bring us into July?
Yes, here I am, July. Welcome. So I made something that sounds fancy, but it's really simple. It just has a really fancy-sounding name. Cannellini con limon and garlic.
Beans with lemon and garlic. There, I made it not fancy.
Yes. It's beans on toast with spinach. It's a seasonal food I'm celebrating. We love spinach. Mm-hmm. And this recipe uses a lot of it. Pardon the noise in the background. There is a lot of that.
I thought it was ocean waves.
It's ocean waves. I'm at the ocean. I got this recipe from Ella Vegan's meal planner app. So far, I really like her app a lot since I was already pinning a bunch of her recipes, and she has a great preferences sorter to filter by any food that like I'm restricting at any time. As you all know, that like sometime, and as I'll talk about, like, I can't have blueberries or, random stuff. Also, the app generates menus and grocery lists. So yeah, just super helpful, I think. Just cool for somebody I was already supporting. So this was a very easy and tasty lunch, but I did end up adding some fried eggs on the side just so we could have more for leftovers later. So the dish is green onions, garlic, canned cannellini beans, chili powder, spinach, lemon, and then you serve with bread.
Okay.
So it's basically a very quick saute of everything. Your white part of your green onions and your garlic and spices with your beans just to heat them up in a saute, and then you start adding the spinach, and it's 9 cups of spinach, so you're just like wilting it down, adding more, wilting it down.
9 cups fresh spinach equals what? Like a tablespoon of cooked spinach?
Exactly. That's why we need the eggs as well. And then you squeeze on the lemon juice to finish it and just, taste with some season. You can make it spicier, and then eat on toast. It's super simple. It's one of those like, oh, I just need to make a quick lunch. But it also kind of felt fancy too. I don't know,
It's because of the fancy name of the beans.
Yes.
I love cannellini beans. I usually have at least a can on hand. It's one of those beans that they're really versatile. I like a white bean like that.
Yeah.
This sounds really tasty, very fresh sounding.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's a great way to get your greens in. I love adding green onions to everything. Adds that bite, the garlic, the lemon, like I said, and then on toast. That's just how I beans on toast. I'm from New England.
If LJ were here, I'm sure she would approve. Oh, no, wait, she doesn't like beans, but not baked beans is what she doesn't like. So maybe she likes cannellini
She would approve, I would say. Let's just say she would approve.
It just seems like a very Londoner thing, beans on toast.
Yeah, that's my first dish. And let's hit it back to you.
All right, it's time for dessert.
Yeah!
July 7th is Chocolate Day, sometimes also called World Chocolate Day. And Justine, have you heard of the Costco peanut butter chocolate cream pie?
I've heard of it.
Yes, it's taking the internet by storm, as they say. So I hadn't tried the original Costco pie itself, but I saw that there was a bit of a murmur online about how great this pie is and it's so good, and a lot of copycat recipes popped up. So I thought I would try to make a copycat recipe because I love chocolate, I love peanut butter, and I get that from my dad, and it was recently Father's Day, so I thought it would be nice to make him a peanut butter and chocolate pie for Father's Day, and this looked like the perfect recipe. The Costco pie is apparently almost 5 pounds. It's a huge pie. Fortunately, this copycat recipe is not that ridiculous. There's 3 components: the graham cracker crust, the peanut butter filling, which goes on the bottom, and then the chocolate filling, which goes on top of the peanut butter filling. And then for decoration, you pipe the peanut butter filling on the very top. And the recipe also says to crumble graham cracker around the top. I just skipped that because I took a little shortcut. I didn't make the graham cracker crust myself. I just bought a pre-made one at the store.
Yeah, I was going to be like, Meg, this graham cracker. So profesh.
No, it was cheating. I used a pre-made one. So since I didn't have extra graham cracker crumbles, you won't see those in the photos. The chocolate filling has semi-sweet chocolate chips melted with heavy cream, mini marshmallows, and sugar. And then you fold in sweetened whipped cream. It makes this really, it's this really lovely, silky, smooth, mousse-like texture. Really tasty and also not too sweet. This was my concern with this recipe, is that Costco's sweets are very sweet. So I thought maybe the copycat recipe might be just as sweet, but I feel like it's a very nice level of sweetness and contrasted with the salty peanut butter. Some reviews complained that they thought the recipe was too salty. I didn't think so, but I was aware of that. So I tried to modulate it a bit before it was past the point of no return. By the way, the recipe that I used is from the Kitchn. I will put a link in the show notes. I like their recipes a lot in general. The peanut butter filling is, of course, peanut butter, cream cheese, powdered sugar, vanilla, and yet more heavy cream that you blitz up in your food processor so that it's also nice and smooth. So you pour that into the bottom, you put the chocolate on top, you let them both set in the fridge for several hours. It's set very nicely. It's a very smooth, rich, luxurious, luscious cake. You can have a very small slice and be totally happy because it's so rich and so filling. Very decadent. I quite liked it. I think it could have been even more peanut buttery. Like if I made this again, I might add even more peanut butter and maybe a little less cream cheese. It ended up tasting more like a cheesecake than I wanted it to. Like there was a lot of cream cheese. Overall, I really liked it. It was a hit.
Would it be an insult to say that this does look store-bought?
I mean, that's kind of the point, right? Especially with the store-bought graham cracker crust. If I had made my own graham cracker crust, it would have looked a little more homemade.
The piping around the side, just like, I love it. I'm like, Meg, did you open a pie business and not tell me? I
did try to emulate what it looked like at Costco.
Just like write happy birthday on it. And then it's like...
Seriously. Maybe put a SpongeBob toy in the middle or something.
Yeah.
Belongs right at the grocery store.
Who's going to eat all this, Meg?
Oh, I sent it home with my dad. I'm like, great. I can't eat all this. I did keep a little piece, though.
Good. Whenever I see, like, you make a big dessert, and I'm like, oh, no, Meg, what's going to happen? I think it's so interesting, because, yeah, the mousse, very moussey looking. Mm-hmm. I mean, looks thick.
It is thick.
Yeah. I love this. I'm just, like... zooming in on the cross section of this pie, like enhance. I love it. Is this the first time you've done piping?
Yes, actually. I know. I was pretty happy with myself.
It looks so good.
Yeah, I think I got the hang of it pretty well.
You're so talented. My goodness. All right. I'm going to continue on with another dessert.
More desserts.
As it is dessert time after lunch. I made something for 4th of July, and I adapted Bakerita's blueberry crisp tart and made it blackberry and raspberry for the red and the blue.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm.
So this tart really differs from the other ones I've made from her because the oats are whole and nothing is blended. The crust is mixed by hand, so it has that crumble texture. The crust and the crumble are oats, almond flour, baking powder, salt, maple syrup, and coconut oil. And even the oil isn't melted. It was solid and worked into the dough with my fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Much different from the other ones I've made from her. The berries... 2 cups of berries. I don't know. I kind of fudged it a little because my tart was bigger than the one in the recipe, so I kind of semi-doubled it.
I see. Mm-hmm.
I eyeballed it a little, but I'm really good at it now. It's good. So berries, maple syrup, and tapioca starch, and then also on top, the crisp has chopped pecans in it as well. Honestly, I think this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever made, and I trust and love Bakerita. Oh, and red, blue, white. I put some ice cream on top. Vanilla ice cream.
See.
So you get the sweet ice cream, the tart berries, the crispy crumble. Oh, the crust was so good too. I feel like I just ate it. It was last night. And I'm ready for some more. It is delicious. It kind of reminded me, I don't know why, I was thinking all together, I was like, this reminds me of like strawberry shortcake.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the texture, feeling, tartness, sweetness to it. Yeah. I am overall like, yum, yum, this was delicious. And also I was very proud of myself because I've never made anything for 4th of July before. And so I had to get a little creative here. And I'm like I said, I winged it somewhat. And I was like, so proud of myself.
It seems very American to me, very patriotic dessert.
I know. I was like, I'm doing America proud.
It looks like a crumble. I feel like I would call this like a crumble, which I love. I love berries. Yeah, this just looks all around tasty.
It is. This will not survive the night.
No, I wouldn't think so. It's funny that you said you doubled the recipe because I was having a hard time figuring out exactly how big this was. It looked like a little bit small in the picture, but is it a 9-inch pan? How big
This
is
is a
it?
10-inch.
10-inch, okay. So yeah, very big.
Yeah. And the recipe was for a 9, and you'd think that wouldn't be that much bigger, but it is.
Yeah.
Super, super easy. And also the swapping out of blueberries to other berries was no issue at all.
It seems like a very flexible recipe. Did you not put blueberries just because you didn't have them on hand, or you preferred these, or you're cutting them out for now?
Oh, yeah, I have to cut them out
Oh, I
for
see.
now.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a blueberry sensitivity.
Sad.
I know!
Yeah, this looks delicious. I'm assuming you would make this again.
Yes. Gosh, I feel like I said every time I make something from her, I'm like, yes, would make again, 10 out of 10. Like I said, I'm just so in love. I need to get her cookbook.
I was just going to ask, does she have a cookbook? It seems like
Yeah.
you should definitely have that.
I need it. And Ella Vegan, too. I need to get... She just came out with a cookbook this year. I need to get... You know how big my cookbook shelf is.
You should reach out to Bakerita, see if she'll come on the show.
And just, like, gush.
Yes.
Like, you've blessed my gluten-free heart. More dessert, shall we?
More dessert. Gonna keep this dessert train a-rollin'. Happy birthday to us.
Yay!
Yay! Happy birthday to us. Our podcast anniversary is July 15th. So that's why we included all things birthday as one of our July themes. So I had to make us a cake, of course.
Yay!
A birthday cake. This is just a cake from a box mix. So I don't have a lot to say about the recipe itself, but I did want to talk a little bit about the method I used for putting the cake together.
Mm-hmm.
I used Trader Joe's Chromatic Celebration Cake mix. This is their version of Funfetti, but of course Funfetti is copyrighted, so they can't call it that.
Oh.
It's vanilla cake with sprinkles inside, this Chromatic Celebration Cake. It's just from a box, very easy to make, yada yada, not much to say about that. But what I wanted to do is try this technique I had seen on Epicurious for how to make a layer cake using a sheet pan instead of several cake pans, separate individual cake pans. The idea presented on Epicurious is that you get this big sheet pan and you make a recipe that's enough for a 3-layer cake. You bake it all on the sheet pan and then you let it cool, and then you cut your layers out of the sheet pan. And what this does is that it gives you that so-called naked cake look. So you have the raw edge of the cake and you don't frost it so that you can see the crumb and the interior of the cake. Epicurious also suggested this method because not everyone has 3 cake pans. I certainly don't. I only have 2, and it's really annoying to do a 3-layer cake and rotating all the cake pans and moving them from the top to the bottom rack in the oven. So I decided to try this method. However, the box mix is not enough for a 3-layer cake. It's really only enough for a 2-layer cake. So I used a smaller sheet pan, and the circles that I ended up cutting out were smaller than they should have been. You can see in the photo, if you look at the size of the cherries on top compared to the size of the cake, it's a rather small cake. But so that was the main cake. But then there were a lot of scraps on the side, so I also made little mini sandwich cakes just cutting out with cookie cutters. So I didn't let it go to waste. Basically, I wanted to try this method because I love the naked cake look, and I thought it might be easier just baking it all on one sheet pan. I'm not sure if I was as pleased with the results as I was hoping for. I like the aesthetics. I think it's a really cute looking cake. I love how the photo turned out. It's very cute.
This photo, like literally, look, I want it to be my phone background. It's so cute.
I'm going to put cherries on top. I'm going to put a little bit of piping. I'm going to make it kind of look like the portal cake, but the cake won't be a lie.
It does. I was trying to be like, what is this reference?
Kind of the portal cake. The thing that I didn't like about this method, though, is that the raw dog edges of the cake, they dried out very quickly. So between decorating the cake and serving it, I was not happy that the edges of the cake were dried out. I was like, this isn't good. Ultimately, I want the cake to taste good and look good, and I feel like this really only delivered on one part of it. Maybe it wouldn't have dried out so much if it was a bigger cake, but I still think it would have, perhaps.
Yeah.
So I tried this method. Maybe I'll try it again with an actual cake recipe made for a 3-layer cake. I'm thinking maybe an olive oil cake, which is naturally more moist anyway. But yeah, that's my funfetti cake for us for our birthday.
So who did this cake go home with?
I brought it to a barbecue so that everyone there could help me eat it.
Get you socializing. Beautiful.
And it was also the host's birthday, so double dipping the birthday celebration.
We stole our birthday.
That's the best thing about the podcast. It's all virtual in a way, so it can fill more than one need.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know if people think that we're making all of these like cakes and cookies and things like just for ourselves.
Right?
We can't eat that much, especially not that much sugar, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of working backwards for me. Like, oh, I want to make this thing. Let's see how it fits into the themes. But not always. I do like our themes, and it's like, oh, 4th of July. I still feel like I need to make my red, white, and blue pie. We'll see if there's time within the month.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, you want to take us home? Take us back to entree land?
Yes, ma'am. So, National Mac and Cheese Day. Who doesn't love mac and cheese? So, this is something I've made before, but I'm not sure if I've made it for this podcast or not. It's sunflower mac, and it's from Isa Does It by Chandra Moskowitz. I'm literally making all things by like all chefs that I love this week. That I'm like, just I'm fangirling over here. So with this, yes, you soak raw sunflower seeds for 2 hours. So I think things you have to soak overnight, you have to really prepare for this. You can be like, what am I having for lunch today? Or you're thinking earlier in the day. Like, okay, let me soak these sunflower seeds, and then, I do that at 10 o'clock, and at noon, okay, time to make lunch. Ready to go. This cheese, cheese quotes, is also made of onion, garlic, and carrot, which you saute until soft. And then there's also nutritional yeast, cornstarch, tomato paste, lemon juice, and 3 cups of vegetable broth, which tells you basically how much it makes. So that all goes into a blender and basically blend till cheese. I really enjoy the smell of this. Is that weird?
I don't think it's weird to enjoy the smell of food.
Okay. But it's got a tangy smell. It's like that lemon and oniony smell. It's kind of like more like an Alfredo sauce than I'm not comparing it to Kraft, you know? I just think it's a yummy pasta sauce and a good alt if you're dairy free with like a nut allergy. And I think it's super simple to make.
Yeah, it doesn't sound particularly cheesy, but it sounds good. And it looks like mac and cheese. It sounds like maybe she was going for achieving the consistency and the color more so than the taste. It looks really good. I love a nice, thick, rich mac and cheese, and this sounds like that's it.
Yeah, and I've made like other like cheese sauces too, and they could range. I think people usually do more like nacho-y, but there's something about this one that is, I think, interesting and more sort of vegetal that I do like. It's not, because I know we talk about like, oh, I'm hiding veggies, in the making of things, but this is, you kind of know that they're in there based off the smell too.
Right.
It's just good. I think, yeah, that's super, like I keep saying, simple, easy to make, yummy, tasty. A good way to celebrate Mac and Cheese Day. And, you can throw things on top, your spices, pair it with your bacon or fakin, whatever you like.
Throw some green onions on top there.
Yes, it's good. Good for all of that.
I eat some mac and cheese now.
Maybe a bite left in the fridge. I'm going to get after recording this. Well, before we do that, we got to talk about what we've been consuming with our eyeballs.
Never gets old.
Meg, why don't you kick us off?
Okay. I'm sure our listeners remember Brad Leone of Bon Appetit fame. Who? So Brad was one of the folks who stayed on with Bon Appetit for quite a while after the whole incident. I believe he just left Bon Appetit in December. I think that's right. Go on our website to see for sure. I have all the information there. But since then, he is branching out to create his own YouTube channel. You can find him at Brad Leone on YouTube. And he's released a few episodes in the last month or so. He has a new series called Making It! Which is clearly supposed to be It's Alive. I think with mixed success. I'll talk about that series first then. He also has another series called Local Legends. But Making It is exactly what you would expect from an It's Alive copycat. It's Brad being Brad, making not always fermented stuff, but he starts off with making cucumber sauerkraut. So he's got his little fermentation station. Mm-hmm. But instead of fermentation station, it's called the ingredient shrine now. But it's pretty much the same thing. It's kind of funny, and actually it hurt my heart a little bit because a lot of people in the comments were like, I'm so glad that the editing is the same, that the editing stays on point. It's just like It's Alive. And it's like, well, it's clearly someone mimicking Hunzi's style. Like Matthew Hunziker, aka Hunzi, is not associated with Brad's YouTube channel, but the new editor has clearly taken a few pages out of Hunzi's playbook and is trying to replicate that. So it has the same feel. It has the little pop-up comments and commentary. It has the silly stock images to go with the stuff that Brad is saying. It has little animations. It does the thing where it transcribes Brad's gobbledygook in sort of a funny way. So I understand what they're going for. Obviously, It's Alive was a huge success, and so they're trying to replicate that. But yeah, I don't know. It makes me feel bad for Hunzi because I feel like Hunzi was definitely the secret sauce there. And even the theme song is a little bit like It's Alive. It's got that twangy kind of surfer vibe. And like I said, Making It and It's Alive, they're both kind of styled similarly. They both have the exclamation point. So that's what it is. If you're missing It's Alive, if you want some more of that vibe, if you want some more Brad, then this is for you. It's pure, unadulterated Brad. It's all from his mind. There's no one to rein him in. Not that they reined him in much on Bon Appetit once they realized how popular his crazy, chaotic energy was. But I've always found Brad amusing, if very chaotic. But if you want more Brad, you'll like Brad's YouTube channel. And then there's also the Local Legends series, which I think could be pretty interesting. It's kind of like those, again, It's Live episodes where he would go on location somewhere and interview experts. So that's what he's doing here, is looking for experts in their field, niche food things. In this first episode, he talked to the owner of a brewery that's only accessible by cross-country skiing or snowshoeing. So it's interesting that it's this remote location, this remote brewery. It was an okay episode. I enjoyed watching Making It more than Local Legends, but I feel like there might be more potential for the Local Legends series.
Do you know if Bon Appetit continued It's Alive after 2020?
Yes, it absolutely did. Brad continued making It's Alive for as long as he was there.
Gotcha. I don't know. The way you described it, and I literally haven't watched it, and I don't know. It kind of sounds cringy that I kind of want to just be like, move on, do something else, have a new idea.
Yeah, I understand that feeling, and I feel that way too. It's just like, I mean, it makes sense. It's like trying to recreate this thing that made him so popular, but it was also sort of a lightning in a bottle thing, and then it does become cringy when it's like, oh, they're just trying to relive the glory days. Yeah, I agree. I think that he should come up with some new material.
Well, we've got another Try Guys video. Some It's something that I know we've both watched because I think we watch every Try Guys video now.
I watch every Try Guys food video.
Okay, cool. So Keith eats everything at Pike Place Market. This is another Eat the Menu by Keith.
Yes.
This may be the most unhinged episode, question mark, which is weird because every episode is pretty unhinged.
True.
But so in this one, Keith spends a day at Pike Place Market in Seattle with, producer Rachel and various friends like Lou Berger and folks he knows just hanging out there. And his original goal was to just get like one thing at each food stall or restaurant place and see how much he could eat. And then it just like devolved.
Definitely devolves. I feel like this is a common theme in Eat the Menu is it goes off the rails.
Yeah, just especially when people just started feeding him and he was just eating multiple things at multiple places, whatever, it's food and it looked good. But also, I think it was interesting that since he was eating pretty much what every place gave him that was like their most popular or favorited item, there wasn't anything that he would probably like dislike, at his best and least best. He's just like, yeah, this curry, it was great, but wasn't like special,
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because there's something I really like about this format of him being on scene. It's a bit more exciting than just watching him sitting in a studio eating a bunch of food, getting more and more food drunk. So I like that it was on site.
Which we love.
Yeah, I do love Eat the Menu in general. Keith is my favorite. I'll watch just about anything Keith does, really, in his Try Guys videos. But I do like that he was on location. It gives you a little bit of that travel sense in a way. But what you were saying about how everything he tried was like really good. And I do think that is probably the case. But also the thing that I don't like about it is that he's trying this food in front of the person who's made it. So I feel like he's less likely to give a totally honest evaluation of it. Because if someone's like, oh, try our most popular item and you don't like it while they're standing there expectantly waiting for you to love it, I feel like that could definitely skew the results in a certain way. But that being said, I was a little surprised watching this video because it made me realize just how many times I've been to Seattle, I guess, and also been to Pike Place Market because I was watching him and I thought, well, I've had that pierogi. I've had those mini donuts. I went to the original Starbucks. I tried that crumpet place that he just walked by, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like I had sampled a lot of foods there that he ate, and I did enjoy what he also had. And I had to laugh because when he went to the pasta food stall, I thought to myself, they're going to give him the chocolate pasta. And then they did. It's a gimmick, but it's a good one. No, you're of course going to remember chocolate pasta that you've been handed.
Yeah. Man, I didn't realize that you've been to Seattle how many times?
At least 4.
Wow.
I feel like maybe more than that.
I've only been once, so I've only been to Pike Place once, and it was at night, really, so, well, maybe evening. It wasn't as, like, morning bustling as I went, although I did pass by. I was there for months, so I, like, passed by it a few times, but I think I really only remember getting something at that one, like, I think Chinese place where he couldn't figure out how to, like, get in. I'm like, I know that place.
He does also say that it's a tourist trap, which of course it is, but I do think the food is good. I don't think the food is overhyped.
Yeah, and he caught a fish. Seattle things you gotta do.
Apparently. And on the topic of Try Guys and food, they did that series, I think, for the Travel Channel, No Recipe Road Trip with the Try Guys.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what it was originally on, but it was on some station or some streaming service that I didn't have when it first came out. But now it's on HBO Max, which I do have. So I think I may end up watching it.
Oh. But you got the Ned vibes in it.
I know. Unpopular opinion, but I like Ned. I don't like the fact that he's an adulterer. That obviously sucks, but there's a lot to be said for the weirdness of that whole situation. And what happens when your personal life becomes your professional life and the consequences therein.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
I just had one more video I wanted to quickly talk about. It is a video by Bon Appetit. It is Paul Hollywood and Prue Leith pick the best snack in America.
What?
Good old Paul and Prue. So they are over here. They're across the pond promoting season 6 of the Great American Baking Show, which they are the hosts of. Or the judges, I should say. The hosts are Ellie Kemper and Zach Cherry.
Oh, this is the show that I can't figure out how to watch it.
It is on Roku. So if you have Roku, you can watch it. I do not have Roku, so
I do have Roku, but I always just like go to the apps. I don't think I watch anything on actual Roku.
It's one of those situations where I hope it will be available to me in some way at some later point. But the YouTube video with Paul and Prue, like it says, it's them trying American snack foods. It's just so funny to see these very posh, very British people talking very seriously about ho-hos and Twinkies, for example. So they eat such snacks as ho-hos, Twinkies, Thin Mints, Oreos, Cheez-Its, Reese's, Snickers, Hot Cheetos, Pop-Tarts.
They're not going to like any of that stuff.
So it's hilarious. I suggest you watch it because the things that they do like are really surprising, and their comments on Cool Ranch Doritos are just hilarious. Prue describes them as subtle and pure in flavor.
What?
And Paul says something ridiculously posh about Cheez-Its. He didn't like them. He thought they tasted like old socks, but he was like, oh, well, maybe if you put a bit of brie and half a grape on it, it would be all right.
My God.
So if you want more of what we do on this podcast, where we make fun of Prue and Paul, for example, not knowing that peanut butter and jelly is a popular flavor combination, this video delivers on that that genre.
Amazing. Wow.
Yep.
I will watch that. I will watch that for sure.
You should. You can see which snack they pick as the best.
I'll figure out how to use my Roku and find that show.
Yes.
Thank you. It's like, I feel old. I just come on here and we're like, how do I technology. That wraps up our episode. For all pictures and links to recipes, head on over to our Substack. Subscribe by going to podappetit.substack.com. It's beautiful. It's a lovely handwritten newsletter by Meg talking about all the things that we made with links to these videos that we talked about. It's all the stuff in one place. Mm-hmm. So easy.
It's a nice little companion to the podcast.
Yes, we 100% recommend it. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at pod_appetit. Yeah, wherever you find podcasts, because we're there as well.
I should hope so.
We are everywhere. Find us, subscribe, respond, email us. We want to hear from you. And happy birthday to us. But we're going to continue July probably in next episode. I say probably because we never know what we're doing. We keep it fast and loose.
We have interviews sprinkled in there, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's how we roll. Just hang on. Hang on tight with us is what I always say.
Buckle up.
Did you hear that car go like at the appropriate time? Wow. All right. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Pod Appétit Gourmet Takes.
Go to podappetitpodcast.com for all our episodes and links to everywhere you can find us online.
Also, be sure to subscribe to Pod Appétit Gourmet Takes on your favorite podcatcher.